It was a beautiful morning, like any other, calm, quiet, peaceful. But just beyond the gentle tide, something unthinkable waited to be discovered. Zara Vegas had built a life that inspired millions. Known to her followers as Shine Queen, she was the woman who made others believe anything was possible. A thriving business, a loyal fan base, a young son who adored her. Everything seemed to be falling into place. But just days after celebrating a new milestone, she disappeared. The Zara her followers loved wasn't the one found on that beach. Her body was partially buried with signs of a struggle that no one could ignore. A scarf, torn and discarded nearby. Broken sunglasses that hinted at a night gone terribly wrong. How does a woman adored by so many, someone who seemed to have everything, end up in such a grim and violent scene? What unfolded in the hours leading up to her death? Who could be responsible for such an act? And most hauntingly, why? In this video, we piece together the events leading to Zara Vegas's tragic death, unravel the investigation, and uncover the shocking truth about what happened. Want to watch more stories like these? Hit on the subscribe button to get notified on more gripping stories. Also, don't forget to like and share. Zara Vega, known online as Shine Queen, was more than just a social media personality. She was a beacon of hope for so many, someone who turned adversity into success. Born and raised in a modest neighborhood in Las Vegas, Zara didn't come from wealth or privilege. She came from a place of struggle, where every dream felt just out of reach. But instead of letting life's obstacles define her, Zara used them as fuel to build a life that would eventually inspire thousands. Her Instagram was a testament to her hard work, her resilience. Every post was filled with positive affirmations, from battling self-doubt to finding the strength to push through setbacks. She shared her journey openly, showing her followers that success wasn't just for the lucky few. It was for anyone willing to fight for it. And fight she did. By the age of 34, Zara had built an empire. She was the proud owner of a thriving online boutique, where she sold everything from stylish apparel to accessories, always advocating for empowerment and confidence. But it wasn't just about the products. Zara became a voice for women who felt overlooked, helping them embrace their worth. Her following? Over 3.5 million strong. Every new milestone was shared with the world, whether it was a collaboration with a major brand, a new business partnership, or the unveiling of her latest collection. And just days before her tragic end, Zara posted a video on TikTok, showing off the keys to her new dream home in San Jose. A fresh start, a new chapter. It was supposed to be a time of celebration, of joy. Her 34th birthday party was already in the works, with plans to throw the kind of event that would have made headlines. An unforgettable night for her friends, her followers, and herself. But that dream was never realized. Zara's strength came from the ground up. She built everything herself. From the hustle of late nights working on designs to the strategic moves that grew her business, Zara had done it all. And yet, for all her triumphs, one thing remained constant: the love she had for her son. He was the heart of her world, the reason behind every late-night work session, every victory she celebrated. Her strength wasn't just about business. It was about the resilience to stay kind, generous, and hopeful, even when life tried to bring her down. She made sure to share every little piece of progress with her fans, motivating them with her story of struggle and success. But as much as Zara loved her followers, she kept her personal life guarded. Her posts never gave away much about her relationships, about who she spent her time with, and that left many questions unanswered. There were whispers, rumors about a man in her life. Was he just a friend, a business partner, or someone more? Zara's life was one many envied, her success, her confidence, her apparent happiness. But there was more to her story than what was visible online. Like many people, she had moments of vulnerability, but she hid them behind the filters of social media. She was a real person, trying to figure out her own life, even if her followers only saw the glossy, perfect version of it. And so, it was just days after celebrating a major milestone, with the plans for her birthday just around the corner, that Zara's life would end in a way that no one could have imagined. Her story, though short, left a mark on so many. It was October the 23rd, 2022, a morning that started out like any other along the shores of Venice Beach. A beachgoer noticed something unusual. At first, it seemed like an abandoned bundle, something out of place on the beach. But as they approached, the cold truth became clear. It was the body of Zara Vega, one of the most influential figures on social media. Her body was partially buried in the sand, as if someone had tried to hide it, tried to make it disappear. The discovery was more than just shocking. It was terrifying. Zara's body was lifeless, and it was clear that something violent had happened. There were signs of trauma to her head, deep contusions and bruises that couldn't have come from anything other than a direct assault. Her neck showed clear signs of strangulation. Whoever had done this didn't just kill her. They had tried to make sure she wouldn't survive. Nearby, investigators found items scattered across the sand. A torn scarf, drenched in what appeared to be blood, lay beside her. It had clearly been ripped off in a hurry, perhaps during a struggle. And not far from that, broken sunglasses, Zara's, no doubt, lay among the wreckage of what was once a peaceful morning. But these were more than just discarded objects. They were pieces of a puzzle, bits and pieces that hinted at the violence that had unfolded just hours earlier. The image painted by the scene was unsettling. Zara's body, her belongings, the traces of violence all seemed to tell a story. But what was that story? What had led her to this beach, to this end? Had she been walking alone when she encountered her attacker? Or was this the aftermath of something more calculated, more planned? And then there was the question of the scarf. It was an odd detail, almost too specific. Was it a piece of clothing she had worn herself, or had someone wrapped it around her neck in the heat of the moment? Maybe it was a struggle between Zara and her attacker, her last attempt to fight back. At this point, the authorities knew only one thing for sure. Zara's death was no accident. This was murder. But the how and the why remained clouded in mystery. The immediate question on everyone's mind was whether Zara had known her killer, or if she had been the victim of a random, senseless act of violence. Her social media pages were flooded with tributes, with fans expressing their disbelief at the idea of a woman who had given so much love to her followers being so brutally taken from the world. But the question remained, who would want to hurt someone like Zara? For the police, the timeline of events was just beginning to unfold. Zara had been last seen posting to her Instagram late the night before, sharing a picture of herself laughing with a few close friends. From all accounts, nothing had seemed out of the ordinary. Zara had made plans for her birthday, shared her excitement about her new home. The world she had created online, the life she had built, seemed to be perfectly in place. As the investigation into Zara's death began to unfold, the authorities found themselves digging into her past, searching for answers to questions no one had ever expected to ask. Who could want to hurt Zara Vega? The more they searched, the more they realized that the glamorous online persona Zara had created might not have been as perfect as it appeared. Behind the smiling selfies and uplifting posts, there were shadows, a network of relationships, some complicated, some strained. The police quickly turned their attention to Damon Blaze Carter, a 32-year-old former business associate of Zara's. Damon and Zara had once shared a successful partnership. Together, they launched several influencer-based campaigns and projects, but their professional relationship had recently soured. Zara, known for her meticulous nature, had become frustrated with Damon's lack of follow-through on their latest venture, a collaboration meant to merge her brand with his tech startup. What had been a partnership built on mutual success turned into a bitter fallout. Publicly, neither Zara nor Damon had spoken much about the end of their business dealings, but sources close to Zara revealed that things were far from civil. Zara had voiced her displeasure about Damon on her social media platforms, subtly hinting at a falling out. The tension between them was more than just professional. It had spilled over into their personal lives. But it wasn't until the night before her body was discovered that things took a darker turn. CCTV footage from a restaurant in Monterey, about 90 miles north of Los Angeles, would later paint a chilling picture. It showed Zara and Damon having dinner together, though their conversation seemed anything but friendly. According to the footage, there was a clear exchange of words, their body language tense and hostile. Zara appeared upset, and Damon seemed agitated, his gestures sharp and defensive. The footage was grainy, but the animosity between them was unmistakable. It was clear this wasn't just a casual meal, it was the culmination of months of growing tension. Witnesses from the restaurant confirmed that the two had left in a hurry, arguing as they exited. Neither appeared to have been in a mood to reconcile. Damon had tried to follow Zara as she walked to her car, but it was unclear if they parted ways immediately after. Had this heated argument escalated into something more? Had it led to a violent confrontation later that night? As the investigation deepened, the police found that Damon had been among the last people known to have seen Zara alive. In the days following the discovery of her body, detectives pored over phone records, emails, and social media exchanges between Damon and Zara. Some of their messages revealed a history of unresolved disputes, with Damon becoming increasingly frustrated as their business venture unraveled. But was it enough to make him a suspect in her murder? The investigation team was careful not to jump to conclusions. Yet, as they spoke to people who knew Zara and Damon, the picture started to look more suspicious. Neighbors of Zara recalled seeing Damon's car parked outside her home just a day before her death, though they couldn't confirm whether he had entered the house. Was this a coincidence? Or had Damon gone to Zara's house to confront her after their argument? For now, Damon was a person of interest. His alibi was shaky, and his past behavior suggested he could be capable of violence. But there were still gaps in the timeline. What happened between that argument in the restaurant and Zara's body being discovered on the beach? The police knew they needed more evidence, and fast. In the meantime, local news outlets were buzzing with the latest developments, fueling public speculation. Friends and family of Zara were heartbroken, struggling to make sense of the idea that someone so close to her could be involved in her death. Her supporters, thousands of them online, rallied together under the hashtag #Justice for Zara, demanding answers. But was this just a personal vendetta gone wrong? Or was there something more to the story? And as investigators sifted through the evidence, one thing became clear. this case was far from over. It was a waiting game. For weeks, Damon Carter had managed to stay off the grid, evading law enforcement as the investigation into Zara Vega's death grew more intense. But on November 5th, 2022, that changed. After weeks of painstaking detective work and mounting pressure from the public, Damon was finally apprehended in a quiet neighborhood in Glendale, California. The arrest wasn't easy. Damon had gone into hiding, switching between various locations in an effort to avoid detection. He was last seen by a witness at a local cafe in Santa Monica just days before his capture. But after that, he seemed to vanish without a trace. Local authorities had followed up on several leads, but each time Damon seemed one step ahead. That was until a breakthrough came when a tip from an anonymous source led police to a guest house in Glendale, where Damon had been staying under an assumed name. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Damon attempting to flee, but it was clear he was cornered. After a tense standoff, he was taken into custody without incident. The news of his arrest spread like wildfire, with the media and Zara's fans alike finally exhaling in relief. It wasn't just Damon's flight from justice that raised alarms, it was his past. As police dug deeper into his background, they uncovered a troubling history of violent behavior. Damon had a prior conviction for domestic assault, dating back to a relationship that ended in court-ordered counseling. This prior offense had never been widely publicized, and many who knew Damon only from his professional interactions were shocked to learn of it. His past behavior suggested that when Damon felt cornered, his temper could become explosive. Could his frustration over the failed business deal with Zara have pushed him to a breaking point? But it wasn't just his past that made Damon the prime suspect. It was the forensic evidence that began to piece the puzzle together. The forensic team worked tirelessly to gather every shred of information they could from the crime scene, and what they found was damning. On Zara's body, the medical examiner discovered traces of a distinctive cologne, one that had been identified as belonging to Damon. The scent had been found on Zara's clothing and skin, suggesting he had been in close contact with her during the last moments of her life. But there was more. A blood stain found near Zara's body was later confirmed to match Damon's DNA. The blood, which had initially been thought to be a random spill from the crime scene, was now linked directly to him. This was the break the investigators had been hoping for. Damon had been there at the scene, likely the one who had inflicted the fatal injuries. As if that wasn't enough, surveillance footage from a nearby parking lot placed Damon's car near the beach the night of Zara's death. A review of phone records also showed calls made from his phone to Zara's shortly before her demise. The timeline was aligning in a way that painted a clear and undeniable picture. Damon had been with Zara in the hours leading up to her murder, and now the evidence was proving it. In the aftermath of Damon's arrest, emotions ran high. Zara's family, friends, and supporters breathed a sigh of relief knowing that the man responsible for her death was finally in custody. But there was still one major hurdle to overcome. Could they secure a conviction? As investigators prepared to bring Damon to trial, the mounting evidence against him seemed irrefutable. One thing was certain. Damon Carter was behind bars, and his trial would be the next chapter in a story no one could have imagined. As we reach the end of Zara Vega's story, there are still so many questions left unanswered. What exactly happened in those final moments before Zara's life was tragically cut short? Some may still wonder, could the tension between Zara and Damon have really escalated to the point of murder? Or is there something deeper at play? What truly happened on that night? And will the legal system ever move fast enough to bring true justice for Zara? Or will the delays and technicalities continue to frustrate the efforts to get her the justice she deserves? But what's certain is that Zara's death has ignited a movement, sparked crucial conversations about violence against women, and called for a greater sense of urgency in our justice system. While the legal battle continues, the fight for justice and for the safety of women everywhere goes on. Zara Vega was more than just an influencer or a businesswoman. She was a mother, a daughter, and friend. If you're moved by Zara's story and want to hear more about cases like hers, stories that need to be told, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.